name's Gavin, and this is Genre Books, and it's a tag day. And this is the Don't You Forget About Me tag. Now, I'm not a brain, an athlete, a criminal, or a princess, so that does only leave me with one option. But I've been tagged today by Tristan at L-Space-Books, and this is a tag created by Jolene at Bookworm Girl Adventures. There are only 4 prompts to this tag, so let's get to it. Prompt number 1, clean slates, books that you've read but you can remember nothing about. Unfortunately, there are a lot of these, and the easiest answer would be they're books I really need to remember. Quite often this means trying to recall facts from non-fiction books, and this is the reason I take quite a few notes when looking at certain non-fiction books when I know that I want to be using them. But for fiction, there's so much stuff that I can remember reading when I was a lot younger, and quite often the books that I know that I recall very little of are the ones where I possibly read them at too young an age. Madame Bovary, for example, whether 16-year-old me quite grasped everything that was going on there, but I remember that I enjoyed it. Something more recent, perhaps from the last 2 decades, would be Anthony Pole's A Dance to the Music of Time. 12 books. I read them all in a run, really enjoyed the experience, but they do all seem to have blended together, and quite whether I could tell you what happens in each book, quite whether I could even remember the titles, I would probably be hard pushed. But do you need to have an eidetic memory about these things? Do you need to have complete and utter total recall of a book to know your opinion of it? I can't remember much from Jazz by Toni Morrison, but I know I love the book and I can always reread it. That's what the books are there for. But we're not in a Fahrenheit 451 situation, and I'm not with the RSC, so I don't have to recall huge amounts of text at a moment's notice, thankfully. Prompt number 2 is Genie's Lamp, books you wish that you could forget. I don't want to always be trashing the Da Vinci Code, although I'll do it here again. The Da Vinci Code is a terrible book. But would I want to forget having read it? I don't think so, because there's always a chance that I might end up reading it again. But I think, in all seriousness, why would you want to forget about the bad books that you've read? I think it will just make you appreciate the good books that you are reading all the more. Prompt number 3 is Forgotten Gems, books that you think need more love. If you were an optimist, you'd say that these things go in cycles, and if something is popular at one point, if it falls out of favour, it'll become popular again at another juncture. I'm not an optimist, and I think people are getting authors confused with skateboards or yo-yos if they think that something that was popular 3, 4, 5 decades ago is suddenly going to come back into vogue. Occasionally it does, that's fantastic, but I don't think you can rely on it. Reading through the Planet Stories magazines, as I've been doing, just highlights to me that someone who is a writer, a paid writer, presumably a popular writer, can just fall off the radar. Novelists who seem to have been incredibly popular, which I've done in 2 recent videos with Edgar Wallace and Edward Bulwer-Lytton. These were people who were household names, certainly in Britain, and are now largely forgotten. Whether those writers would be the top of the list of people I think you need more love, perhaps not, but There are plenty of other writers you could pick from more recent times who really do deserve more of people's eyeball time. B.S. Johnson, J.P. Donleavy, the early Will Self short story collections, Richard Brautigan. Do teenagers still read the Beat Generation any longer? I don't think so. I think the question here is, how do you make that happen? And realistically, it's, just get the books in the bookshops. Make them available, make them relevant. And this is one of the things I like about Booktube, and certainly it's what hooks me into this area of Booktube, is people talking about books that are forgotten about, that do need that little bit of love. There's so much good stuff out there that needs just that little bit of life breathing back into it. Prompt number 3, forget-me-nots, books that you will always remember. I'm going to be talking about some of these books in upcoming videos, so I will not talk about the New York Trilogy or fictions by Jorge Luis Borges, although, fictions is always close to my desk, always close to my heart. This is one of the best books ever. So instead, I'll choose another 2 books. What a Carve Up by Jonathan Coe. That sticks with me. It's a very funny book. And a scene where our protagonist, who is an author, is trying to write a sex scene, which is just one of those passages that had me cackling with laughter. And I think maybe it's books that make me laugh that have stuck with me more, because the other one I would choose would be Out of Sheer Rage by Jeff Dyer. Again, this is another writer, a real writer this time, Jeff Dyer, trying to write a book on D.H. Lawrence and finding new ways to fail at doing so. It's very difficult to describe it other than, if you're glib, you would say it's the procrastinator's Bible. I'd recommend that book to absolutely anybody. So now to tag other people, and I'm not sure she's done this tag, so I get to tag Book Chat with Pat for once. I'll also tag the Grape Jelly Library, Bartel's Bookshelf, and the Library Mouse. Thanks for listening to me ramble on, reminisce, misremember, and I'll be back again soon, probably with another tag, as I see that I have been tagged this morning. Until then, bye.